Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to a brand new season of the Lions Den Quiz League. It is now season number 8. I know I say this at the start of literally every video, but I'm really sorry for how late I keep putting these up. I don't mean to, but I get caught up with real life stuff and get super behind with things, and that's not fair to you guys, but I do apologize for that. I'm gonna try and be better. I believe in season 7, I finished 5th overall. There wasn't a championship, but I finished, I think, 5th in the regular season standings. It was very, very close, but that I think was my final result. Hopefully I can do better this season, although to be honest, I played really well last season, so I don't know if I'll be able to keep it up. There's some really heavy hitters in this league, but yeah, we're going to get started with week number 1. Starting with quiz number 1, Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats, written by Benny. It's just a general knowledge quiz, but I think that all of the things are loosely related to quotes from the movie Cats, or not the movie, the musical. I mean, both maybe, but we don't talk about the movie. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. The really weird character names and random lyrics. I assume that's what's going on here. So, starting with question 1 of the season, what name is given to the technique used by bats to see in the dark, in which animals emit noises to detect nearby animals and objects? This is echolocation, which is just something that bats very notably do. Question 2, anyone who sails on Lake Superior will know about the danger of November gales, strong winds that occur in the Great Lakes area in the fall. Which ship was the most famous casualty of the November gales? Memorialized in a song by Gordon Lightfoot. When the gales of November came early. Anyway, this is the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is, well, I don't know much about it from anything other than the song, but the song is excellent. And if you don't know the song, you should give it a listen. Question 3. What is the name of the exam candidates must pass to become an official London cab driver? Questions consist of an interviewer naming starting at any points in the London area, after which the candidate must recite the fastest route between them without the aid of a map, which sounds absolutely insane, by the way. I mean, being a GeoGuessr pro is hard, but this sounds pretty freaking hard, too. However, I don't know the name of this. I mean, I knew that London cabbies had to have basically a photographic memory of the entire city, but I don't know what the exam's called. So I'm going to say the taxi test. And, you know, that's, I don't know, kind of rolls off the tongue, I guess, but I'm sure that's wrong. Question 4, in real life, the Heaviside Layer is a region of Earth's ionosphere. Forget cats. Which dog was the first dog to reach the Heaviside Layer? So I'm going to have to say Laika for this, because this is the Soviet dog that famously went to space. What's weird is I feel like the ionosphere is like really far out. Like, I guess maybe it makes sense. I don't know. Like, if you're in orbit, are you that far out? Probably. But I think of the ionosphere as being like the outermost level of the atmosphere, other than like the exosphere. So I don't know. It seems a little weird, but I'm like, I don't know. What other dog famously went to space? It's not like Airbud or whatever. Assuming this is a real dog, then I'm going to say Laika because I just don't have a better guess. Question 5, which epic poem by John Milton tells the story of Satan's expulsion from heaven to become the leader of hell? Blah, blah, blah. This is, of course, Paradise Lost, by far the most famous work by Milton. And finally, question 6, the spy novel Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy is about George Smiley, who is tasked with finding a Soviet double agent within the upper level of British intelligence. Which prolific novelist, whose other spy novels include The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, wrote the Smiley stories? This is John I don't know if it has a capital or not. Le Carre. And there's an accent there too, but I can't type that on this keyboard. But anyway, his name is John Le Carre. He's the guy who wrote Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, as well as some other spy stuff, as the question says. Yeah. And then as for what to enhance, honestly, probably Le Carre, because that feels not super easy to me. I'm good at literature, but a lot of people aren't. I feel like the other one, maybe number 2, is enhanceable as well. I don't think that's super easy, but it's also a pretty well-known song, so man. But like, if you're not American, do you know that song? Like, I don't know. I have no idea how well-known or not that is, but I will go with 6 and hope that that's the right decision. Le Carre, Paradise Lost, Laika, The Knowledge. Okay, I've never heard of that. Edmund Fitzgerald and Echolocation. That is 5 out of 6. I'm completely okay with that. I think, yeah, that's my ceiling there. I mean, The Knowledge, I'm not pulling that. Maybe it's something I should know, but I've never heard the name of that particular test before. So starting the season off with a 5. Quiz 2, General Knowledge, written by Looney this time. In week 1, we asked about Richard Serra's steel sculptures. If you were curious, you might have learned about his tilted arc, a rusty steel plate that was exhibited in what city until it was removed for being too ugly? The city inspired a boogie woogie artwork by Mondrian and was the setting of a famous photograph of two people kissing on VJ Day. The boogie woogie thing is called Broadway boogie woogie. That's just famously what that Mondrian thing is called. So I have to assume that this is New York City because that's where Broadway is, unless it's another Broadway. I don't know the other clues, but that Mondrian thing is definitely New York. Question 2. In week 2, we asked about the Basque influence on the flag of Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon. If you were curious, you might have learned that this flag also features the Grand Hermine, a ship captained by what Breton explorer, or Breton, I don't know, who was the first European to sail the Gulf of St. Lawrence in 1534. So we're talking about Canada, and it's an explorer from Brittany, so he would be French speaking, or at least would have a French name probably. There are a few there are a few people who went to Canada. There are a few explorers known in Canada, Henry Hudson, for example. But the French one that I know of is Jacques Cartier, and I feel like there are other ones too, but Cartier is just kind of the name that immediately comes to mind when I think French explorer who went to Canada. And I think there are others, but I'm just going to hope that it's not the others. And I'm going to say Cartier. Question 3. In week 3, we asked about Judith Jarvis Thomson. If you were curious, you might have found that she was responsible for the popularization of what thought experiment initially conceived by Philippa Foot. MIT's Moral Machine Project applies it to self-driving cars. So I believe that this is the trolley problem. This is interesting because I was playing Quiz Bowl with some friends the other day, and I feel like this came up, like the whole Judith Jarvis Thomson equals trolley problem thing. I feel like this came up in a Quiz Bowl question, like from a few days ago. So that kind of, I guess it's fresh in my memory, because when I read this question, I was like, wait a second, this sounds a little bit familiar to me. So that's kind of just fortunate that that came up a couple days before I looked at the questions, but I believe this is the trolley problem, and it makes sense. I mean, applying it to self-driving cars, like, etc. The cluing definitely makes sense for the trolley problem. In week 4, we asked about music inspired by the Troubles. If you were curious, you might have learned about Invisible Sun, a Troubles-inspired song from what band's 1981 album, Ghost in the Machine. And their most popular song from the album, singer meets a woman and claims, even though my life before was tragic, now I know my love for her goes on. Anyway, this is The Police. Good song. Every little thing she does is magic, etc. Question 5. In week 5, we asked about the Biafran War. If you were curious, you might have learned about Biafra's anthem, Land of the Rising Sun, which adapts a melody from what composer's anti-censorship tone poem, Finlandia. This is Gene Sibelius, who is by far the most famous composer from Finland, who notably composed Finlandia, which is not the national anthem of Finland, but I feel like a lot of people think it should be, or at least consider it the unofficial national anthem. Finally, question 6. In week 5, we also asked about Bohemian Rhapsody, the highest-grossing musical biopic of all time. If you were curious, you might have learned the highest-grossing non-musical biopic of all time, which just barely eclipses Bohemian Rhapsody, centers on what Bhagavad Gita quoter, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. This is, of course, Oppenheimer, which is the Christopher Nolan movie that won Best Picture in 23, I guess it was. Yeah. So I think this is hopefully 6 out of 6. I'm not positive that Cartier is right. I think the rest is almost certainly right. And then again, as for what to enhance, I'm not really sure. I think I will probably enhance Sibelius because I feel like people just don't know, kind of like they don't, like the average person isn't as familiar with literature. They're probably also not as familiar with classical music, so that feels like the best thing to enhance here. Although, again, maybe I'm making a mistake. I don't know. Captures are back. Those are the only bikes that I see. Yeah, I did select all matching images there. Where? Oh, these are bikers, I guess? Okay. Oppenheimer, Sibelius, The Police, Trolley Problem, Cartier, New York City. 6 out of 6. Absolutely beautiful. Starting the season with 11 out of 12. I am very happy with that. I don't think I'm going to be as happy with the next quiz, but we will see. Time for the pop culture quiz. This is based around the Bechdel test. Criteria 1 of the Bechdel test. The piece of media must include at least 2 named female characters. First of all, Prince and the Hornet are 2 female examples of the many assassins of what 2022 movie featuring an ensemble cast, including Brad Pitt, etc., who were all brought to the titular mode of transport for different yet intertwined reasons. This is Bullet Train. I saw this movie about a year ago. It was kind of wild. It was okay. I didn't love it, but it was a reasonably interesting movie. But that is kind of just what happens in that movie. Spice Girls all had two-word stage names ending in Spice. Victoria Beckham was Posh Spice. Name any one of the other four aliases used by a member of the Spice Girls. These are Sporty, Scary, Baby, and Ginger. I'll just say Sporty because I could just say any of them. Criterion number 2, the named women must have a conversation. Question 3, Season 3, Episode 8 of which television show sees Jerry Kellman and Shiv Roy discuss explicit photographs sent to Jerry by Shiv's brother Roman? Shiv suggests that Jerry should report the pictures to the board of directors of Waystar Royco, a company founded by Shiv's father, where Jerry's the interim CEO. This is Succession. I've seen a couple episodes of this from the first season. I don't know much about it, but I know that the Roy is the last name of the family in that show. And Shiv, I think, is short for like Siobhan or something. Yeah, question 4. Now for the ones that I don't know. In a 1999 movie, Bella tells the fictional actress Anna Scott, "I'll wait till you're gone before I tell him you're a vegetarian." After a dinner party, the him in question is a friend of the bookstore owner William Thacker, played by Hugh Grant, whose bookstore and house are located near each other in what London district? I do not know. I don't know a lot of London districts either, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on in this question. I'm going to guess Lambeth because I think that is a thing in London, and I'm going to move on because I don't know what this question is. Anyway, criterion number 3, the conversation cannot be about a man. Number 5, in what movie do Lucille LaRusso and Allie Mills have a conversation about working together to get Lucille's rundown car moving? They are the mother and girlfriend, respectively, of Daniel, who spends hours applying and removing wax from vintage cars in a training scene in this movie. No idea. I'm going to say Rocky because a training scene sounds like it's something that could be in Rocky. And the names sound, I guess, vaguely Italian, which could work. Although Rocky Balboa, he's not even Italian. You know what? I don't know. I haven't seen Rocky. All right, I saw part of it at one point. I don't know anything about it. But I don't know. Seems like a reasonable guess, but I don't know. Finally, in what musical do Carlotta and Christine bicker about their roles in a production of Don Juan Triumphant? Earlier in this musical, Carlotta is given a starring role in Il Muto until her voice is magically sabotaged so that Christine can take over the role. I don't know. I thought about this for a while. I thought of a bunch of random musicals. I was like, what's a musical that I don't know the plot of that exists? And I thought of this, which I think is a thing. It's probably not the right thing. It's probably not even close. But to be honest, I don't know what it is. And I'm kind of tired of trying to think of answers to this. So I'm just going to say a chorus line and go with it. And I'm sure it's wrong, but whatever. So, I have the first 3 and probably not the last 3. I think I will enhance Bullet Train. It seems a lot harder than questions 2 and 3. And we shall see. Okay. It is... Oh, good lord. It's the Phantom of the Opera. Okay. I'm going to get absolutely roasted in the comments for that, aren't I? I have never seen the Phantom of the Opera. I have no idea what it's about. I know that it's famous. I know that there's like a chandelier that falls or some shit. I don't know. But, yeah, to be honest, I'm definitely going to get flamed by someone for that. But you know what? Whatever. I don't care about musicals. They really don't interest me very much. So, there are clues that I should know that I just don't know. But Sporty is correct. Presumably, I didn't have to say Spice. That's kind of cringe if I did, but I'm sure Sporty will be accepted. Bullet Train, Succession. 3 out of 6. That's fine for pop culture. I've done worse before. Definitely not my best showing, but it happens. Moving on to quiz 4. The media quiz, which is a bunch of pictures of things. First, the plants seen below. Amorphophallus titanum. That is an insane Latin name, by the way. Amorphophallus titanum. And Rafflesia arnoldi are among the plants given what nickname due to their distinctive smell. I believe this would be the corpse flower. That's just kind of... I don't know. The corpse flower is just kind of the thing that notably smells bad. I didn't know that there were 2 completely different ones with the same nickname, but I think that's what's going on. Question 2, what members of what family of primates, like the ones seen below, are known for their distinctive whooping or hooting calls? I'm not sure on this one. I was trying to think of monkeys / apes that exist, and I thought of bonobo. I thought of gibbon. I thought of marmoset. I thought of there's a bunch of like the great apes, which obviously aren't right. And bonobo, I think, is also a great ape, so I'm pretty sure they don't look like this either. But it could also be something like a howler monkey or a spider monkey or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna say gibbon because I know that I like howler monkey and spider monkey sound like species rather than families. Um, and I'm pretty sure that bonobos don't look like this. It's not going to be like chimps or gorillas or anything, obviously. So this is kind of the only word that came to mind that made any sense, basically. So I'm going with gibbon and hoping that this is the right thing. Question 3, what food product is seen below? This plant is often described as citrusy and pairs well with lime, though genetic mutations can cause it to taste like soap. So, of course, cilantro or coriander, which is so good, by the way. I love cilantro. Genuinely, anything with cilantro in it is like twice as good. It's so tasty, and the people who say it tastes like soap, genuinely, I feel sorry for you because you're missing out. You really are. Question 4, if you've ever gotten these products in your hands without washing them quickly afterwards, you'll know that they make your hands feel slippery. It's because they are examples of what kinds of chemicals which produce soapy substances when they react with the oils on your skin. This one is kind of annoying me because I don't really know what it's going for. The best thing I've come up with is bases because, like, I know that these are basic things. I know that bleach has quite a high pH, but like it feels like they want something more specific. I mean, all of this is like bleach, right? From what I can tell, this is just bleach. It's all Clorox, but I don't think bleach is the answer because you can even see the word bleach on the top shelf. So I don't think that's what's going on. I'm just going to say bases because I know that bleach is basic and I can't think of another word used to describe it. Maybe it wants like hydroxide, like sodium hydroxide. I don't know. Like, I'm going to say bases because I have no better guess. Pictured below is a green example of what fabric, noted for its soft and luxurious feel, traditionally made from silk, made by weaving together layers of yarn and cutting through the warp yarns, leaving two matching layers of fabric with a dense long pile. I'm going to say velvet because it looks like velvet to me. Like when I look at it closely, it just kind of looks like it's made of velvet. Although it might be another thing that's similar and that I don't know the name of, but I think velvet's going to have to be my guess here. And finally, the image shows a visual example of the Doppler effect. Oh, wait, hold on. Doppler is the answer. It's asking for the person. But yeah, this is basically how the Doppler effect works. The Doppler effect is kind of an interesting thing. I've told this story before, not on the videos though. One of my teachers, and I took an astronomy class in high school where we learned about the Doppler effect. There was a really fun question that was like, so the Doppler effect applies to light and sound. So it works the same way for light. Light can be like red shifted or blue shifted depending on how fast you're going. So there was a problem he gave us on a homework set once that was basically you're driving and you get pulled over. You run a red light and you get pulled over for speeding. And you claim to the officer, you tell the officer that you were moving so fast that the light actually appeared green to you rather than red, which is why you didn't realize it was a red light. And then the cop says, okay, you can either pay the speeding ticket, which is X dollars, like $100 or whatever, or you can pay me 1 cent for every mile per hour you were going above the speed limit. And the answer ended up being that it was better to pay the speeding ticket because to make red appear green, you have to be going really fast. Anyway, which question would you like to enhance? I don't know, honestly. Maybe the corpse flower? Doesn't feel like common knowledge. Cilantro feels easy. Velvet feels easy. Doppler feels easy. Bases, I'm not convinced that this is actually the answer. And same deal with gibbon. It's a guess. I don't actually know if that's what's going on or if this is just a different kind of monkey. So number 1 seems to be the best answer I've got. And we'll see. The corpse flower. Gibbons. Nice. Let's go. Cilantro, bases, velvet, and Doppler. Let's go. Okay. That's a 6 out of 6. I honestly didn't expect Gibbons to be correct. I mean, I knew it had a chance, but I don't know. It felt like there were probably more options for that one. So definitely happy with that. This is going pretty well so far, aside from the pop culture quiz. So we head to quiz 5, which is all about Italian cuisine. Number 1, what is the Italian name for the rice-shaped variety of pasta seen in the dish below? This is orzo. At first, I thought it was risotto, but then I looked more closely and it's like, wait, this is actually pasta, not rice. So this is indeed orzo. Question two: the style of pizza named after what Italian city is round with a thick, puffy outer crust and a thin, floppy middle? Not positive about this one, but I think it's Naples, like Neapolitan pizza. Honestly, I'm not sure I can name another Italian city that has a notable style of pizza named after it. I'm sure that exists, but I think the most famous sort of Italian city style pizza is Naples. And I think that's what Neapolitan pizza is, but again, I could be wrong. Not 100% sure. Question three: what Italian word, which comes from the Italian for sheep, names a family of hard Italian sheep's milk cheeses, whose varieties include Crotonese, di Filano, Sardo, Siciliano, Toscano, and Romano? This is Pecorino, I think. Pecorino Romano is very good, by the way. It's better than Parmesan. If you, at least in my opinion, but like it's slightly more expensive, but I would say it's worth the upgrade if you're used to putting Parmesan on your pasta or whatever you put it on. Try Pecorino Romano. It is an excellent flavor. Question four: the Tuscan salad panzanella is a simple one. It consists of tomatoes, sometimes onions, and what other main ingredient, along with a dressing? So I've never heard of this. And I spent a while on it because I was like, I'm just kind of like not sure what's going on. It The thing is that the word starts with pan, which sounds like pane, like the word for bread. Um, so I'm gonna say bread here, but it's just like it feels so wrong because it's like a salad with bread in it. I mean, I guess it could work, but it just sounds odd, you know? But I feel like given the word starts with pan, it seems like that's a better guess than just saying some random thing and just hoping that it's right. And I can't think of another thing that starts with pan other than like pancetta or whatever, which I guess the answer could be pancetta, but that seems equally weird. So I'm gonna say bread, but like I don't, or is it croutons? If I say bread, do I get credit for croutons? I don't know. I think the safest thing is for me to just say bread here and hope that the clue is supposed to be the word pan in there, but I really don't know. And then finally, the two questions I definitely don't know the answers to. I mean, I didn't know four either, to be honest, but I at least have a decent guess, but these ones I'm really just going to be punting. I have no idea. Though it is common in authentic settings to use pork belly or streaky bacon. A traditional carbonara should be made with guanciale, a cut of cured pork that comes from what specific part of the pig? So I knew that carbonara was made with guanciale, and I've had it before, and it's really good, but I don't know. Like, I have no idea what part of the pig guanciale comes from. Like, I don't have the slightest idea. So, I mean, I guess I just gotta say something. I mean, I was thinking it could be like the bottom, but I feel like that's where bacon comes from, so I'm not positive about that. Um, and then what other parts of the pig do you have? I mean, there's the body. I mean, there's the belly. There's the back. I guess I don't know. I don't know the names for like specific cuts of pork or whatever. There's the legs. There's the head. There's the tail. I guess. But I honestly I don't know what's going on here. Um, Specific part like I don't know, man. I'm gonna say the back, but genuinely I have no clue. It could be anything, and this is just not something I know. Finally, question six. Many Italian foods, including San Marzano tomatoes and Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, are eligible for what designation, which is given to foods made in specific areas using specific methods to verify their authenticity. It's usually written as a 2 or 3 letter acronym, which varies by language. You may answer in any language. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say RS. Um, RS for region specific, and then region specific food, or yeah, region specific food. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Whatever. It's not gonna be right anyway. Again, I've heard of this. I know that like champagne isn't champagne unless it's made in Champagne, or like Chianti, for example, is another one that has that. But like I don't know what this is called. I just know that there's a lot of foods that have this designation, but like I have no idea what it's called. So this just isn't going to happen for me. So yeah, it's not going to be food because the word food is in the question. Region specific delicacy? Delicacy. Let's go with that. RSD. And for what to enhance, Orzo is easy. Naples feels easy. I think I have to go with Pecorino because that's the only one I'm sure about that feels even moderately difficult. Although, again, maybe that cheese is just super, super well known. I don't know. But I'll go with 3 because I don't feel confident on any of the difficult ones. DOP, PDO, and many others. Presumably not including RSD, but I don't know. Maybe. Cheeks, never getting that. I mean, no chance. Bread is actually correct, though. So 4 out of 6 is fine. I mean, yeah, it makes sense that the word starts with pan. Like, it's certainly the best guess that I had, but bread in a salad still sounds weird to me. So, yeah, whatever. Glad I went with my gut on that one. Cheeks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Even if I said something in the head, I probably would have said literally like head. I don't think I would have said cheeks. So I think this is that wasn't gonna do it for me. 4 out of 6. And we head to quiz number 6, which is about science mainly. Question number 1. The majority of long-period comets we see from Earth come from a region lying beyond the Kuiper Belt. It was first conceived by what? Dutchman. Man, I can't talk anymore. Watchman. This is Oort. I think his name is Jan Oort, but it's the Oort cloud is the other comet thing. There's the Kuiper Belt, and then there's the Oort cloud. So this one is named after Mr. Oort. Question 2. Auroras on Earth are caused by a stream of charged particles emitted from the sun's corona, referred to as the solar form of what phenomenon? This is solar wind, I believe. Yeah, the stream of charged particles that comes from the sun is called solar wind. Question 3. The hypothetical planet Theia, named after the mythological mother of Selene, is a major part of the most widely accepted theory behind the creation of what? I'm going to say the moon for this because Selene is the goddess, or is she a goddess or a nymph? I think she's a goddess of the moon in Greek myth. I know she's associated with the moon for sure. So mother of the moon makes perfect sense for this cluing. So I imagine this is the answer. Question 4. In 2023, scientists detected traces of what amino acid within the Perseus molecular cloud. The symbol of the amino acid is W, even though the name doesn't include a W. And it's thought to induce post-Thanksgiving sleepiness because it's present in turkey. No idea. I know some amino acids. There's glycine, there's lysine, there's cysteine, there's tryptophan, there's tyrosine, I think is one of them. There's a few. Phenylalanine, I think, is another. But I don't know which one. I mean, I've literally no idea. I will say that it's glycine, I guess, and move on because I don't see any helpful clues here unless you literally know the W, which is not going to happen for me. Question 5. Watch out for space debris. The first collision between 2 satellites occurred between the Russian satellite Cosmos 2251 and an American satellite named after what chemical element? The second densest element after its neighbor on the periodic table, osmium, is named for the many colors its compounds can have. So I memorized the whole periodic table at one point. It's been a while since I reviewed it at all, so I don't feel great about this one. But I was trying to think of like colorful elements. I know that bismuth is colorful. And I also had the thought of like thinking about like fluorescence, phosphorescence, iridescence, for example. And I think iridium is around the right area in the periodic table. I think osmium it's a transition metal. I think it's like in the 70s, like 70, tungsten 74. I think osmium's like 76. And then later on, you get to like mercury, thallium, lead, bismuth, polonium. I mean, bismuth is surrounded by lead and polonium, not osmium, so it's definitely not bismuth. I think the best guess I have is iridium because I think iridium is around that area somewhere, and I think osmium is around that area somewhere. Unfortunately, I'm too rusty to remember the exact numbers, but iridescence being a thing, I think iridium is known for being colorful, so I think it just makes a lot of sense. But At the end of the day, this is a guess, and it would not shock me if I have picked the wrong thing. But I think this has a decent chance, at least, of being right. Finally, question 6. Aliens in the vicinity of the constellation Hercules might say it came from beyond once they received the message pictured below that humans sent out in 1974. That message is named for what city on an island territory that is also home to an observatory and one of the largest radio telescopes in the world? This one took me a second to think of, but I think I got it. I believe this is Arecibo because I know that Arecibo has a giant radio telescope, and island territory makes way too much sense because it's Puerto Rico. And at first I was thinking of other island territories, like is it another thing in the U.S.? Is this like a French territory, British territory, something along those lines? But once I thought of Puerto Rico and realized Arecibo is the one that has the giant telescope thingy, I feel really good about this answer. I feel like it just kind of has to be right. Again, it's another hard question, but I think the telescope, I think it has to be. I think it just has to be. So I'm going to go ahead and enhance that. I don't feel good enough about question 5. 4 is a total guess, and the first 3 are a little bit easier, or it's pretty difficult actually, but I think I will enhance question 6. What counts? Not that, apparently. Surely that's right. Okay, apparently not. Gotta love it. Do their heads count? Probably not. Again, who knows? There we go. Arecibo, let's go. Iridium as well. Nice. Good stuff. Keeping up the good work here. Tryptophan was the answer. I believe I did mention tryptophan as one of the like 5 or 6 that I listed there, but I didn't say tryptophan, unfortunately. At the end of the day, it was a guess, and I guessed the wrong one. That's just gonna happen sometimes. But the rest was correct. Jan Oort, Solar Wind, Iridium, Arecibo, etc. Good stuff. I'm definitely happy with how that quiz went. And finally, quiz 7 is an ancient history quiz, which I love because, I don't know, I like history in general, but ancient history is definitely my strongest sort of suit when it comes to history. So I really enjoy quizzes like this. The Dole of Vera signboard, an inscription that was only preserved because it happened to fall on its face, embedding the characters in the rock below, is one of the best sources we have for the language used by what ancient civilization. The modern name for its biggest city loosely translates to Mound of the Dead in modern Sindhi. So I really like the way this is clued, because Sindh is a province in southern Pakistan. So Sindhi presumably is what's spoken there, and Pakistan, ancient civilization, makes me think of the Indus Valley civilization, which I feel like this, or it's also called the Harappan civilization, but I think it just makes so much sense. Like, I think with Sindhi, you got to be in Pakistan. And again, I really enjoy like cluing it that way because it's, if you know your geography and you know what Sindh is, you can kind of figure that out without knowing directly what the signboard thing is, because I have not heard of it. So anyway, I quite enjoy this question. I think hopefully the answer should be the Indus Valley civilization. Question 2, the Phaistos Dick. Good lord, that's bad. The Phaistos disc, a clay disc with writing in an unknown language, was found on what island? Its writing is often compared to another script from this island that uncharacteristically, given its time and place, consists mostly of straight lines instead of pictographs. Another question that I really enjoyed figuring out. I think we're talking about Crete here because I believe the other script on this island is Linear A, which is the script used by the Minoan civilization that famously has not been decoded, hasn't been, solved by linguists. Linear B is from Mycenae, and I think Mycenae, I'm pretty sure, was mainland Greece. So I think the only island that makes sense here is Crete, because the Minoans used Linear A. And again, the whole straight lines instead of pictographs is, I think, a really cool way of cluing the fact that it's called, Linear A. So I really, really enjoy this question as well. And hopefully the answer is Crete. Question 3, the Luwian language, written in both cuneiform and hieroglyphic, was primarily used by what chariot-using Anatolian empire that fought the forces of Ramses the Great at the Battle of Kadesh, and whose rulers had regnal names including Murshili and Hattushili. This is the Hittites, who had a capital at Hattusa, which again, if you know what Hattusa is, and you see Hattushili, and you can kind of make that connection, that's another sort of fun alternate way into a question like this. But this is one that I just knew directly because of the Battle of Kadesh, etc. Question 4, the Behistun inscription found in Iran and containing the same text transcribed in Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian, was a major tool in the decipherment of cuneiform. Much of it is a biography of what 6th century BCE ruler whose troops lost to the Greeks at the Battle of Marathon. I'm pretty sure Behistun is Darius the Great. It's easy to get confused because there are a few famous Persian kings, and they all have like notable things named after them. Like, for example, the Cyrus cylinder is a thing that's named after Cyrus the Great, and then I think Xerxes. There's a Xerxes inscription too. But I'm pretty sure Marathon was Darius, because I think Thermopylae, which was later, I think was Xerxes. Like that was like the second Persian invasion, but the Marathon was the first, and I think it was under Darius the Great. I'm pretty sure Behistun is Darius. I hope I'm not getting him confused with Xerxes. It might be Xerxes the Great or Xerxes the Second. Is there a Xerxes the Great, or is he just Xerxes? Oh my god, I don't know. I think this is Darius the Great. I hope. I really hope I'm not getting it confused with one of the other Persian inscriptions, but I feel pretty good about that one, because I think Xerxes was just. I'm pretty sure Marathon and Behistun are Darius. I've said that like 5 times. I'm trying to like convince myself by speaking out loud that I'm doing it right, and then not to gaslight myself. But I'm a little bit scared. But I think I'm fairly certain this is Darius. Question 5. One of the most prominent Akkadian texts contains almost 300 statements, such as, if an Awilum should blind the eye of another Awilum, they shall blind his eye. It is usually named after Hammurabi. This is the Code of Hammurabi. Probably the easiest question in this set, to be honest, because the Code of Hammurabi is a very famous old code of laws. This is honestly a pretty hard quiz on the whole, to be fair. Like, a lot of these are really tricky, including this last one, which I don't actually know the answer to, which is kind of a shame, because it was going so well until this point. And again, I feel like in general I'm very strong in ancient history, but this one I don't have. According to Pliny the Elder, a king of Pontus with what regnal name ruled 22 nations and could speak the languages of all of them. A semi-mythical antidote this king legendarily drank small portions of to build an immunity to poison also bears his name. I don't know. I thought of a couple things. Croesus was a name that I thought of. I think this is a guy who pops up in Herodotus. I don't remember where. I don't know if he's from Pontus or whatever, and this is Pliny, not Herodotus anyway. But to be quite honest, I mean, I thought of, I don't know, some other names like Xerxes, for example, but I don't think it's going to be the same name as a Persian king. So I'm just going to guess a random name, and I'm sure this is wrong, but I just can't think of what this is. I feel like I've heard of it, like the whole building an immunity to poison thing. It does ring a bell to me, but I'm not going to pull the name, unfortunately, which is a shame. But I think I have 5 out of 6 here. I'm pretty sure. And I think I will enhance Darius just because, I don't know. The Crete thing feels guessable. Indus Valley feels guessable if you know what Sind is, and even then you might just guess that anyway, because this is all like the same, sort of the same part of the world. Yeah, I think I got to go with Darius. The rest of them are easier. Maybe Hittites is an okay one to enhance, but again, it feels a little bit easier than Darius the Great. So going with 4, and if it's Xerxes, I'm going to cry, but I'm confident enough that it's not. And good. Okay, that is 5 linear A, Indus River Valley, Mohenjo-Daro. Yeah. Mithridates or Mithridates. You know, I should know that. Now that I see the name, that's absolutely a person who exists. I really should know that. Man, Mithridates. Yeah. I've heard of this, and I've heard of the story before, but it's too far in the recesses of my brain, and unfortunately there's too much going on in there, so I was not able to fish it out. There were just too many names, too many things to remember. Again, pretty good with ancient history, but that is a very hard question, I think. I'm happy with 5 out of 6 on that, though, because it definitely wasn't super easy. And yeah, so that's going to do it for the week. It's 8:45, so deadline's in 15 minutes. So I will go ahead and pause the recording. I'll come back in 15 minutes, and we will see how I did. Alrighty, so here are the final standings for the week. I did actually finish in second place, 0.02 points ahead of Saluna, which is fun. So yeah, solid podium finish for me. Start off the season. Definitely a good set of categories for me, I would say. I mean, I'm pretty good at I'm not great at science in general, but the science that I'm probably best at is astronomy related stuff. The history I'm best at is ancient history. Um, and I did pretty well in some of the general knowledge stuff as well. So definitely a good week for me, above average, I would say. But happy with the finish. Congrats to Bugtown Cowboy for winning the week and Saluna for rounding out the top three. But yeah, it's a good start. I'm glad to have this league back. Hopefully, you guys are as well. Thanks, as always, to Benny and Looney for putting this together. Of course, would not be possible without them. They are legends. And again, absolutely love the questions. Such high quality trivia, and it is such a joy to play. So thanks to them. Thanks to you all for watching. And I'll see you for week number 2, hopefully pretty soon. Bye.